So Tom and Ben and I had written a script for Fox for a sketch show. They wanted to, let's, do a state type show. You
Yeah.
guys are the ones
Everyone's
to
always trying to
do
compete
it.
with SNL, and
Yeah.
it never quite works out.
And we said, "Are you sure?" Because every couple years someone says, "Hey, come, do a sketch show pilot for us." And then they ultimately don't want it, but they said, "We're sure." We wrote it, we cast Nisi, Cedric, Carlos, and at the table read, it was dead silence. After having been the lead up was they were so excited. So I think it was Tom who called me that night and said, "All right, listen, this is dead in the water, and we were supposed to shoot in a few days. We've spent all the money already on sets and whatnot. So what if we switch the whole idea? We call it Reno 911. We are cops. We improvise it because we don't have time to write it. And we called the cast and said, "Hey guys, new plan. Have you ever improvised before? Because we haven't. And pick a name for a cop." So we just ran around with a camera and we shot the pilot, and they said, "No, thank you." It sat on the shelf for a few years. And then Comedy Central called Doug Herzog, Jim Sharp, and said, "Hey, do you have anything?" Or Jim was our producer. "Do you have anything new?" And we said jokingly, "Well, we've got that pilot that's been sitting on the shelf at Fox." They bought it. And so we did the pilot in 2000 for Fox, and then 2003 Comedy Central bought it, and then we just did our most recent movie 2 years ago. So it's been
Yeah,
a
it's
many
crazy.
many decades of that.
Yeah, I bet when you came up with the character of Trudy, you weren't thinking you were going to be playing that character for, what, 20 something years.
No, I certainly would have picked a better fabric than the polyester that I ended up wearing for that many decades. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that character is just iconic and so funny and so specific. Where did she come from? What was in your head when you came up with Trudy?
Well, I'm grateful that we didn't have time to think about it because really, I don't think we would have landed where we did. But it was the Hail Mary spur of the moment, everybody quick, grab a wig and think of something uh, that somehow that worked to our advantage. I there was no work put into it, is what I'm saying, because we had no time. So it was just I think I was feeling out the balance of what other people were doing, and I didn't want to, at the time, jump in and be leading anything or grabbing any attention. I sort of wanted to be the afterthought joke. I wanted
Hmm.
to be the thing that, beat, 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 and now this weirdness, sort of the non sequitur of the group. And that's certainly what she became.
Was there a quintessential Trudy moment or the first time that you maybe something happened in an improv where you like felt like you really understood who she was?
Oh gosh, I don't know. The character I played in the pilot was very different than when we reshot the pilot years later. It was a much bigger character. It was horrific. But I would say we learned new things with every guest star. Zach Galifianakis comes on, and you find out more through improv about our characters, just interacting with him, or Paul Rudd or Paul Rubens, or all these heavy hitters. And suddenly, as you're improvising, you're making up new things about your character and your history. The biggest one I would say was the Craig Pullen character, Kyle Dunnigan, who's a
Oh yeah.
genius.
He was your
And
boyfriend, right? Is that the
correct, well, he
character? Yeah.
came on just to do a bit about an ice cream truck. We had no designs on him continuing. And in the improv, he and Trudy started flirting a little bit. So we said, "Oh, we got to have him back. She needs a boyfriend." So he came back, played the boyfriend. Eventually, I find he's the Truckee River killer. We find a foot in his fridge. I decide to marry him anyway. We get married just before his execution in the execution room. So now we've killed him. Now what do we do? Well, it's Reno. Of course, he comes back to life. We have, I have a, I when we did the Quibi episodes, which then ran on Roku later, I of course, am having like a fever dream, and and he's in it. So anything goes in Reno, but
Yeah.
the guest stars and our brilliant cast, it's all improv. Everything is improv. And so all the storylines that you see and all these things, those are written by the people that are saying them.
Yeah, it's incredible, especially since you said you weren't really improvisers before that.
No, we were not at all. And everyone brought on in the beginning didn't even sign on for something that was improv. Now, Wendy McClendon Covey came later because when we did the second pilot, we had to replace the original actress and when we auditioned Wendy. So she came in and she is a god in
Yeah.
improv. So she's a no-brainer and she brought the raised the bar real high for all of us.
Was there ever a guest star who came on and you were just like blown away or surprised by how good they were at improvising or being in that world?
I would say I was surprised every time.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait every day. Keegan Michael Key is a standout, of course. I mean, he just can do no wrong and he's so fast.
Yeah.
I found myself in those scenes really just, it was just Kerri watching. And then I would remember I should probably do something
I
here.
should say something.
I
Yeah.
should say something or run or something.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
but literally the list goes on. If you pull up the list of guest stars that we had on that, it was, and then, people reached out to us. I mean, all the way as recently as the most recent episodes we did for television. Jamie Lee Curtis reached out to me on Twitter and said, like, what do I got to do to get on this show? And so the next day we're on the phone and I said, what do you need? She said, let's take some short shorts and an eye patch. We said, great, we'll see you Thursday at 6
Oh my
a.m.
God.
And we stepped onto that set and we had no plan. She said, okay, you over here, you over here, you over here, action, one take. That's what you see. And I mean, that scene with her between she and I got me an Emmy nomination.
That's
I'm
amazing.
not doing any work. Yeah, people like that. Kenny Rogers, the same thing happened. He reached out to us and said, I want to be on this. And so he was on several times. So many stories like that. Just such a fun playground for people to
Yeah.
join.
Was there ever a scene or a moment that went a little too far for you or was sort of beyond what you what you were comfortable with? Because the show is
Oh,
so insane.
all the time. God bless our special effects and our transpo guys and our stunt people because we were hopping into cars, driving into walls, really in the beginning in 2000, 2003, it really was, we're lighting fireworks in our hands and I mean, it was like we still had that state mentality. And our team, our crew has always been such team players, but also they just want to play. Everyone who comes onto the show says, I've never been on a show. This is so fun. Anything goes. So I would mess with them sometimes with our brilliant props people. And I would, in a scene, I'd say, well, I really would like a vanilla shake right now. And you'd watch them off screen just running, grabbing it. And then here comes we always had the
Oh
cop
yeah, I
cars
didn't even think about that.
gassed and ready just off frame in case someone wanted to jump in. And
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
What a treat to be in that show for so long. I mean, you said as you said the most recent, special movie was last year. Um, how long do you think you will keep playing this character and how long can the Reno 911 universe go on?
Well, I think we all feel like it's just such a comfortable playground and it's cheap as hell.
Yep.
And we, are the set that you see, the briefing room set that you've seen since day one, that was originally a practical set. That was the briefing room at the Carson Sheriff Station. And we shot while people were there. We would have to pause filming sometimes because they'd have to bring someone through and book them. We'd start shooting again. So we rebuilt that set and it is in storage. So, for example, when we shot Reno 911 The Hunt for QAnon on the Queen Mary, the briefing room that you saw, the briefing room scene in that was on the ship. We just put it in
You
a
just can take
room
it
that it
wherever
would
you
fit.
want.
So
Yeah.
we just take it anywhere.
That's incredible.
So Niecy Nash is the greatest. She'll go on a press line and say Reno's coming back, and we're like, quick, it is.
Oh.
Grab your polyester. I mean, I think it's just such a beautiful group of people, and it's such a fun show to do, and it feels comfortable and all the things and the characters are so beloved that I will never say never. I mean, I'd be doing it if they were wheeling us in. Also, it's a crazy universe, so anything can happen.
Yeah. We've been talking sort of about expectations versus reality on the new show, Four Seasons and MTV and all that. Just in terms of your career, you know, you said you were very confident that you would have this comedy career. What about just sort of the shape of it in your imagination versus what it's turned into, and especially, leading up to this performance in Four Seasons?
Well, hearing you say that just made me a little sick to my stomach because, to be very clear, I did not think I was going to have a career. I mean, for real.
Yeah.
When I say the cockiness and the confidence, it was
Hmm.
about the group,
Yeah.
period, full stop. I never thought, oh, I'm going to go off and do this thing and people ever in a million years. I studied drama at NYU. I studied with the experimental theater wing. It was serious business. Or so I thought for myself. And I thought the comedy, when I do comedy, will of course only be with these people because I don't exist as a performer outside of this. And
Mm.
I didn't want to. So the way that it's evolved and sort of being carried by the group till I had my legs under me and could step out and do Ellen or be a performer on my own, I'm so grateful for that, and also to have that pillow to fall back in every now and then when we perform again, like the state tour we did last year. But my wildest dreams have always been that I would get to do something that had drama as well. But I thought, okay, you've been very lucky. Let's not get greedy. You've been coasting down the river of alt comedy for all these years. It's been very good to you. Just be happy with what you have. And I never in a million years imagined as a 55-year-old woman in Hollywood that someone would say, oh, and now you can have this. I
Mm.
mean, I'm grateful that it took this long because I feel like I have confidence now more than I did before. I shouldn't say I have confidence. I have more confidence now than I did before that I could tackle something like this. And it was just such a safe environment. The writing was so perfect. It all just came together. And so now I feel greedy and I just want more.
Now you want more, yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that this show Four Seasons doesn't have anyone else from the state involved is sort of meaningful, right? I mean, because so much of what you've done is with those guys, which is great, but this is you really out on your own.
Yeah, and it feels like a little bit more pressure that I've put on myself. We have a state text thread that goes all day, every day. And they,
Oh, that
they're
sounds fun.
they're my brothers,
Yeah.
really in every sense of the word. We've known each other since we were children. And they're so supportive and have been cheering me on. So I feel I really didn't want to fail for them either.